2:47 a.m., the hotel lobby sat in absolute silence. Then the elevator dinged.
That elevator shouldn't be moving. No one else is in the building.
The elevator had arrived at the lobby, unsummoned. The security feed showed the elevator cab, empty. Sarah made a note in the maintenance log. Elevator malfunction, 2:47 a.m.
It's just a sensor glitch. Happens all the time in old hotels, right?
The lobby fell back into silence, but it felt heavier, as if the ding had been a signal.
Why do I feel like someone's watching me?
The clock read 2:50. 3 minutes since the elevator, but the night had shifted. She returned to her paperwork, but her pen stayed still. She was listening. The hotel was listening back. Minutes bled together. Sarah forced her attention onto the spreadsheet, but the numbers blurred into a meaningless fog. A soft thud echoed from the corridor.
What was that?
She stared into the dark mouth of the hallway. Nothing moved. No sound followed.
Probably the ice machine.
But then came another sound. A slow, deliberate scrape, like the heel of a shoe dragging across the carpeted floor near the elevator.
There's someone out there.
Sarah stood, grabbed her flashlight, and walked to the hallway entrance. The hallway stretched away into silence. Every door closed like sealed tombs. Only the red glow of the exit sign pulsed at the far end. She retreated to the desk, her hands trembling. The clock now read 3:05. The unease had hardened into cold stone in her chest. The lobby phone erupted into a shrill ring, its old bell slicing through the dead silence like a knife.
Internal line. The display says room 312.
She lifted the receiver, the plastic cold against her ear. The line was open, but no one spoke.
Help.
A single word, dragged over gravel and filtered through a decade of static. It sounded like a woman, but barely.
No one is supposed to be in that room. It's been vacant since this morning.
She pulled up the reservation log. Room 312. Checked out. No re-rental. The line item sat empty, confirming her dread.
Then who just spoke?
The connection dropped without a click. The dial tone hummed, steady and indifferent, filling the void. Sarah set the phone down. The silence that followed was heavier, now bearing a specific location. Somewhere upstairs, room 312 held its breath.
I have to check. If someone is in there, I can't just sit down here waiting.
She took the flashlight from the desk drawer and started down the corridor to the stairwell. Every step echoed, too loud in the silence.
It's probably nothing. Maybe a wiring fault in the phone. Maybe some prank.
Then she saw it. The door to 312 was cracked open, a thin bar of yellow light spilling across the carpet.
That door should be locked. It's supposed to be empty.
Sarah pushed the door open with the tips of her fingers. The room was empty. Bed made, lamp on, curtains drawn. But something was wrong. On the center of the bed, placed with careful precision, sat an old leather suitcase, scuffed, brass latches, utterly out of place.
That wasn't here earlier. I worked this floor 2 hours ago, and this room was clean.
She took a step closer, her beam dancing over the worn leather. The room smelled faintly of dust and something else, something metallic.
I need to open it.
She thumbed the brass latches. They gave with a groan, and the lid rose to reveal a jumbled collection inside. A stack of plastic keycards, their hotel logo faded. Every single one printed with the year 2014.
These are from almost 10 years ago. Why would someone keep old keycards?
Beneath the plastic, a single photograph lay face down. She turned it over. It showed the hotel lobby, taken from outside the glass doors at night. Beyond the empty desk, a woman stood silhouetted by the amber lamp.
That silhouette. It looks exactly like me. The same uniform, the same pose.
The figure's head tilted at the same angle she bent hers when scrolling the computer. Even the stance mirrored her own. Sarah's hand trembled, making the photo quiver. The key cards slipped off the bed and scattered across the carpet.
I wasn't here in 2014. I was still in high school, 1,000 miles away.
Clutching the photograph against her chest, Sarah felt the silence of the room press in. No longer empty, but occupied by the weight of something impossible. Sarah stumbled back to the lobby, her legs numb. She reached for the phone and dialed her manager's number from memory.
Robert needs to know. Maybe this is some old prank or a mistaken delivery.
Sarah, it's 3 in the morning. What's wrong?
I found a suitcase in room 312. It had old keycards and a photograph, a photo that looks like me, Robert, but from 9 years ago.
Just put it in the lost and found drawer. It's probably an old staff photo someone forgot. Don't let it get to you.
But the uniforms match mine. The pose is exactly how I stand. I wasn't even in this state in 2014.
Listen to me. Drop it in the drawer. Those old things are nothing. Do your job, Sarah. Good night.
The line clicked dead. Sarah stood frozen, the dial tone droning in her ear like an accusation.
He knows something. He's too quick to dismiss it.
She was utterly alone now, the weight of the photograph heavy in her pocket, and no one coming to help. She pulled the photograph from her pocket and turned it over. On the back, in faded ink, 2014.
This photo is 9 years old. I wasn't even in this state back then.
She walked to the glass doors and held the photo up against the dark pane. Through her own reflection, the silhouettes aligned.
The cant of the head, the set of the shoulders. It's exactly how I stand. As if the photographer was waiting for me.
The ink had bled into the paper, old and permanent. The photograph belonged to a time before she ever set foot in this building.
This isn't me. It's from before my time. But then, who is she?
The woman in the photo was someone else, but the resemblance was no coincidence. It was a mirror placed across the years. She stepped back, the photo trembling. The lobby felt colder, the silence sharper than before.
This hotel has seen this before. I am not the first.
She lowered the photograph, but its imprint stayed. The answer wasn't in this image, but somewhere deeper in the hotel's past, repeating, without warning. A violent knocking erupted from the elevator alcove. 3 sharp raps against metal that died as suddenly as they began.
That came from inside the elevator, but no one called it.
Sarah rushed to the lobby entrance and saw the elevator doors glide shut, sealing off the blackness within. She hadn't pressed a button. She turned to the security monitor on the desk. The hallway camera showed the corridor outside room 312. A shadow flickered past. It moved with a lurching gait, then the screen dissolved into a storm of static. The hiss filled the silent lobby.
It's right there. Something is walking the halls.
The monitor snapped back to the live feed. The hallway was empty again, but the camera angle had shifted slightly, as if touched.
It knows I can see it. It's putting on a show.
The silence returned, but now it pulsed with intention. The hotel was no longer passive. It was waiting for her next move. Sarah backed away from the monitor, her breath shallow. The night shift had become a hunt, and she was suddenly very sure she was the prey, summoning a frayed thread of courage. Sarah forced herself toward the hallway. The flashlight beam cut a trembling path through the dark. The corridor stretched empty, every door sealed. Not even a whisper of movement disturbed the stagnant air.
Nothing. It was right here a minute ago.
She turned back toward the lobby and froze. The elevator doors stood fully open, and inside, a tall human shape stood motionless. It had no features, a void where a face should be. The head tilted slowly, an exact echo of the photograph.
That's the silhouette from the photo. It's real.
Sarah blinked, a reflexive spasm. In that fraction of a second, the elevator was empty. The doors whispered shut, her legs gave way, and she slumped against the reception desk, the photograph crinkling in her clenched fist.
It vanished the second I stopped looking. It's playing with me.
The lobby was silent again, but the air crackled. Sarah knew with sick certainty that whatever inhabited this hotel had finally shown itself, and it looked exactly like her future. Sarah forced herself back into the chair and pulled the keyboard closer. The night's events had scrambled her reason, but the suitcase offered a logic to follow.
The key cards have numbers. They're too specific to be random.
She logged into the hotel's legacy database, a creaking system from before the chain's purchase. She typed the first keycard. The screen returned a room history. Room 214, decommissioned in 2015 for non-payment, then sealed. All the keycards belonged to that same shuttered room.
2014. The same year as the photo. There has to be a personnel file that matches.
She bent the search parameters and found an archived employee roster. One name glowed in green text, Linda. The file read, Night Auditor, Start, March 2013, End, September 2014, Status, Missing.
Missing. She vanished on the graveyard shift, just like the photograph that waited for me.
Sarah set the photograph beside the monitor. The silhouette and the file pulsed with the same unanswered dread. The screen held one more field. Photo on file. Her cursor hovered. To see Linda's face would be to confirm the cycle's oldest secret. Sarah clicked. The monitor flickered, then filled with a scanned employee photograph. A young woman in the same hotel uniform. Linda's face was pale, her brown hair pinned back. She had a different chin, wider eyes, but the posture was undeniably Sarah's.
That's not me. But she stood exactly where I stand now. The glass doors behind her are the same.
She held the suitcase photograph next to the screen. The silhouettes matched perfectly. The photo from room 312 was Linda.
The picture was never of me. It was waiting for whoever sat here next. A marker, not a mistake.
Linda's file glowed on the screen. Vanished on an overnight shift. Never found. The hotel had swallowed her and kept a trophy.
I am not the first. I am just the latest. How many before Linda? How many since?
The photographs, hers and Linda's, lay side by side on the desk, identical in posture, separated by 9 years of silence.
That thing in the elevator isn't a ghost. It's the hotel's memory of her, and I am going to be the next memory.
With trembling hands, Sarah closed the file, but the secret had already bled into the room. The hotel wasn't haunted. It was hungry, and she had just seen the menu. Sarah snatched the phone again, her finger jabbing Robert's number. The plastic felt clammy against her ear.
He knows about Linda. He has to. I won't let him brush this off.
What is it now, Sarah? It's nearly 4 in the morning.
I found out about Linda. She worked here on the night audit in 2014 and vanished. You knew.
That was a long time ago. You shouldn't be digging into old files.
What happened to her? This hotel is doing something, and I am next. Tell me the truth.
The hotel has a history, okay? Things happen on the night shift. Just finish your hours and go home. And whatever you do, stay away from the lost and found drawer. Do not open it. Just leave things be.
The line went dead. Sarah clutched the silent receiver, her knuckles white.
He's terrified, and he just told me exactly where to look.
Sarah grabbed her coat from the back of the chair and slung her bag over her shoulder. The time for waiting was over.
I need to get out of here. Now.
She hurried to the front entrance, keys jangling in her pocket. She pushed the crash bar. It didn't move. The door was locked from the outside.
That's not possible. It's never locked from the inside.
She sprinted to the side, exit by the parking lot, pulling at the heavy door. It held firm through the glass. The parking lot was empty. Her car sat alone under the flickering light.
I am trapped. It's keeping me here.
She retreated to the center of the lobby, chest heaving. The silence pressed in, suffocating. The clock on the wall ticked past 4 a.m. The hotel had closed its jaws. From the corridor above, A rapid patter of footsteps echoed, like someone sprinting, then abrupt silence.
That can't be real. The doors are locked. No one else could be inside.
The lobby phone rang again, the display flashing the same internal line. Room 312. Sarah stared at the receiver, her hand trembling over it. She lifted it to her ear.
I shouldn't answer, but I have to know.
You can't leave this place. It's where you belong now.
The voice was hers, but it spoke her deepest fears, thoughts she had never voiced aloud. Sarah hurled the receiver away as if it were a snake. It clattered across the desk, crackling.
It knows everything inside my head. That was my own voice whispering my own worst nightmares.
The line died with a static hiss, but the echo of her own voice lingered, burrowing into her skull.
Robert's words burned. The lost and found drawer. He was terrified of what I'd find there.
She crossed the lobby to the back office, a cramped room stacked with old filing cabinets and forgotten maintenance logs. She yanked open the lowest drawer of the lost and found cabinet. It was deeper than it should have been. Inside lay a graveyard of plastic, keycards dating back decades, and stacks of old photographs.
These are all auditors. Every one of them. There must be a dozen.
The photographs showed the same desk, the same pose, but different years written on the back.
It's a collection. The hotel keeps us, and my photo will be next.
She slid one recent photograph into her pocket, evidence she would not let go.
I am not going to be another Linda. I'll break this cycle.
The drawer slid shut with a heavy thud, but the images seared into her mind. She would escape, or die trying. She burst from the back office, jaw set, and strode toward the glass doors. The pendant light flickered violently. From the elevator alcove, a soft ding cut through the flickering light. The doors parted.
Not again. Please. Not again.
The silhouette stood in the open elevator, but it was no longer faceless. It wore Linda's empty expression. The entity stepped forward, and an invisible pressure seized Sarah's limbs, pulling her toward the cab.
No, I won't be another one.
Her scream shattered the air. The pendant light exploded, raining sparks into the sudden blackness. In the dark, a sharp, mechanical click. The front door unlocked. Sarah bolted through the door, running for her car, not daring to glance back. She fumbled with the keys, engine roaring, and peeled out of the lot. In her pocket, the photograph pulsed with a terrible heat. The tires squealed as the car slid onto the dark highway. In the rear view, the hotel's lit windows shrank like distant eyes.
Drive. Don't look back. Just get as far as you can.
She pressed the accelerator, pushing 80 on the empty stretch. The speedometer needle trembled. After several miles, she eased off the gas, chest heaving. The dashboard clock glowed. 4:23 a.m.
I escaped. It let me go. Why would it let me go?
She reached into her coat pocket for her phone, and her fingers brushed the curled edge of the photograph. She pulled it out. The old photograph, Linda's silhouette behind the desk, still warm against her palm.
It's still here. This isn't a souvenir. It's a leash.
The photograph pulsed with an imperceptible heat, as if the hotel still held the other end. Sarah drove on, but the hotel's afterimage stayed stamped in the mirror long after the building itself was gone. She spotted a rest area, a single light in an ocean of darkness, and pulled off the highway. The engine idled under a buzzing lamp. She let out a ragged breath, then reached for the photograph. In the weak dome light, she looked at the silhouette. The shape was the same, but the face was no longer Linda's. The photo now showed her own features, her own vacant stare, frozen in a moment she never posed for.
That's my face. But I never took this picture.
The printed year on the back was still 2014, as if time had bent to accept her into the frame that was always meant for her.
It's not a warning. It's a record. I am already in the collection.
Her hands shook so hard she nearly dropped it. The photo felt heavier, its heat a malignant pulse.
I escaped the building, but I didn't escape being the next one.
She stared at the dark highway ahead, the photo lying in her lap. The hotel had let her go because it knew she would carry its mark forever. She pulled back onto the highway. The sunrise bled orange, but the photograph on the seat seemed to absorb the light.
Just a few more miles. I made it out.
In the mirror, her own tired eyes stared back. Then they shifted, became Linda's empty, lifeless gaze, just for a heartbeat.
She's in me. The photo isn't the only thing that followed.
The photograph in her coat gave a dull throb, as if claiming her from miles away. She pulled into her apartment complex as the city woke. The drab building offered no comfort. Inside, she locked the deadbolt and slid the chain. The silence was thick as a held breath.
I can't live like this, always looking over my shoulder.
The hotel's mark was not a chain, but a beacon. She knew the empty lobby was waiting. She sat on the floor, the photograph in her lap. The sun climbed higher, but she felt no warmth. The cycle would come for her. Maybe not today, but the hotel never forgot. Weeks dragged by in the cramped apartment. Sarah barely left, jumping at every distant siren, every creak in the walls. One gray morning, a small brown package materialized on her doorstep. No stamps, no label, just her name in careful block letters.
Who knows I am here? I moved for a reason.
She tore it open with trembling hands. Inside, a stack of plastic keycards clattered to the floor, all bearing the old hotel logo. Then she saw the photograph. Her own face stared up, the silhouette behind the desk, now stamped with a single red word, Auditor. Beneath the photo, a small slip of paper lay folded. She opened it with numb fingers. The note said, "We'll always have a room for you."
It followed me. Through the move, the unlisted address, none of it mattered. It has my new room.
The photo's red letters burned against the paper, a brand that could not be removed. The hotel was not content to wait. It was calling her back. Sarah's fragile peace shattered like the glass she'd run through. The cycle had not ended. It had merely found her new address. That same gray morning, Sarah sat at her laptop, the package still open on the floor. A local news headline caught her eye. It read, "Hotel welcomes new night auditor, Emily." The article praised her enthusiasm. Sarah clicked on the attached image. Emily stood beaming behind the reception desk, the amber pendant light behind her.
There, through the glass, the silhouette is already waiting for her.
A new photograph, Emily's silhouette behind that same desk, had already joined the drawer.
I am just the last link before her. It never stops.
She closed the laptop. The photo of herself, stamped Auditor, sat on the desk, a permanent accusation.
I can't warn her. Even if I tried, she wouldn't believe me until the elevator dings at 2:47.
The cycle fed on fresh hope. Emily would learn, just as Linda had, just as Sarah had. The hotel's walls held all their echoes. Sarah stared at her own blurred reflection in the dark monitor. In the glass, she could almost see the hotel lobby, waiting for its next graveyard shift. In the silent back office, the lost and found drawer remained slightly ajar. The newest photograph, Emily's silhouette behind the desk, lay on top. A thin layer of dust was already settling on the print, as if the hotel had been waiting to add it. The drawer slid shut on its own, a slow, deliberate glide, sealing the newest record into the dark. In the lobby, the wall clock's hands moved past 3 a.m. The empty desk glowed under the single pendant light. The elevator chimed softly, doors parting to reveal an empty cab, the brass railing reflecting the amber light. No one called it. No one stepped out. The hotel was holding its breath. The amber light hung steady. The only movement, the crawl of shadows as the hour deepened. in the lost and found drawer. The new photograph began to absorb the cold, its image already fading into the collection. The hotel was still, but not empty. It never was. The elevator doors slid shut with a soft hiss, and the lobby fell into the patient silence of a place that never stops waiting. Fade to black.